Starlink. What's it like to have Starlink now that it's mounted in the back? Now that it's on all the time? So here's the setup. I've got this mounted on top of my storage box, which I've had forever. Inside here, I have a all-powers power center, a solar generator. And then I have the actual device from Starlink sitting in here. And then I have a power cable going to the generator. So whenever the generator is running, like it was earlier at the RV, that actually is powering the power station. And then I can close this and put a lock on it. Well, let's talk about what's cool about it and, what isn't as cool about it. I think...
You know what? Oh my God, are you gonna make another pro and con list? I'm gonna kill myself.
A pros and cons list for our options.
Con, you look like a nerd. Pro, you get to share your pros and cons list with the other nerds.
Obviously, what's cool about it is we have internet everywhere. So from a base level, we always can communicate if we got stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere. The jack just stopped working. It stopped in the middle of us hitching up, in fact. So luckily, we had Starlink.
So via our Starlink, I looked up the manual.
Because we had Starlink, even though we were in a no coverage area, we were able to immediately start popping over to Facebook, seeing what Nick and everyone else was saying, all the steps to finding the reset button. So we had it licked in 20 minutes or so. We don't need a satellite communicator or anything like that. We've got this device, which is effectively a satellite communicator. It's worked flawlessly when it's had an open sky, right? It worked flawlessly. Another thing is that we're running it while we're driving. So wherever we go, we have 99% of the time internet access. This means that Johanna can sort of navigate in advance of where we're coming up on. She can look up things more while we're driving. We don't have to just do all our research while we're in these little islands of cell phone reception, especially here in BC, where it's really spotty sometimes between the towns. So this allows Johanna a lot of flexibility in navigating and planning our day a little more up to the minute in real time. We don't have to plan so much in advance. It makes it more flexible. Along the same lines, another one is that Google Maps is always on, it's always running, it's always populated, and because we're not worried about data, we've been leaving it with the satellite imagery on. And this really helps, so when you're coming up on a pullout, when you're coming up on a far service road, you can see really quickly, like, is there a clearing as soon as I pull off, or is this parking lot going to be big enough for the RV as we're coming up on it? It really gives you this great bird's eye view on what you're pulling into at the corner of your eye on the map. And that additional piece of information has really helped us out multiple times on this trip. And then finally, it's just sort of, for entertainment purposes. We have Netflix all day, whenever we want. Johanna today was at a nursery, checking things out. I didn't want to go in there. I worked in there. It was so hot. I just went back to the RV, turned on the air conditioning, threw on YouTube. So I just chilled in the RV with the dogs and had a few munchies and watched TV in the air conditioning while she went and looked through this nursery for some things to buy. Here's one of the things I love about my Ember, especially my wife wants to do a whole lot of shopping in various nurseries. And I'm just gonna watch TV, rock the air conditioner, and let her shop. Wherever we go, we have internet, we have entertainment, and the entertainment part is fine. I'm not camping, as a reminder. I don't call this camping with Joe. This is RVing with Joe. All right, we bring with us an apartment wherever we go. We don't bring with us a tent. So yeah, it works out really well. But what's kind of sucks about it, or what are the downsides? Well, some people say that they're cracking down on this mobile use of of Starlink, but since they've given you the ability to make it go flat, like you can see right now, where it's just staying in one position, they even say on the app that this is not the ideal way to get in motion service, that you should get a flat dish. The app is facilitating it without any warnings that you have to have the right account, or this must be set up to be allowed. So I'm going to assume it's fine until I hear otherwise. Here's a good example of how much connectivity I get when I'm driving. You can see now it's 2:47. I just pulled into the RV storage area, and I've been driving for about about 45 minutes or so. So you can see here I had a 32-second obstruction about 10 minutes ago and a 23-second obstruction. Other than that, there was a few 2 and 3 second lapses, a 7-second lapse. It's not perfect, but for having consistent internet coverage while I'm driving, this works pretty well. Normally I'm just playing Spotify, which actually caches the music. So if you lose connection for a few seconds, the music keeps playing. So I didn't have any interruption in the music. I didn't notice that I had these interruptions. Whenever I stop, it's almost like an electric car. I have to charge the power cell. So when I'm running the generator boondocking, I have it attached to the generator, and the power cell just charges up whenever the generator is running. So each night, you have to go and charge up the batteries in the truck every night. I got to run an extension cord out to the truck. But by doing so, I'm keeping that battery cell charged with about a full day's use of Starlink at any time. And then during the day, we just let the battery run down and make sure we charge it up in the evenings. But that's maintenance. That requires a little attention. There's been 2 nights where I forgot to plug it in. And so in the morning, all of a sudden, I realized that Starlink was down. And I had to go out there and start the battery pack charging again. Not that big of a deal. I think the other downside is that we have to make sure we park in very sunny spots. Now, seeing that we have solar panels, we should already be doing that. But on a hot day, it's much nicer to park in the shade. Your air conditioner doesn't have to work so hard. It's, for all the reasons I shouldn't have to explain, on a hot day, it's nice to park in the shade. But if we park in the shade, we're going to lose our dish. We're going to lose our signal. The good news is although I have it mounted back there, I can just pop it out of the base, and I've got a second base that I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace, and I can just, attach that and send it anywhere 50 feet around us. So if I do need to disconnect it at a campsite to make it reach, we can do that. But we were able each night to position the truck to get enough internet, except for the first night where we didn't think about it. I did park a little too close to the trees, so I'm only getting okay service on the Starlink. It's intermittent. So instead of watching movies on my phone, I'm just downloading them and then watching them. That works. We've been able to position the truck so that we don't have to disconnect anything. And the truck is effectively the internet base station. Absolutely love it. It's been the fulcrum for this trip that we've been resting on. And I'm going to be keeping it alive for the remainder of the camping season.